we're in a 1958 car, we might as well eat at 1958 era restaurants and take 1958 era roads.
Welcome to a special edition of the Fast Lane Car and the Fast Lane Classics. We have something very special in store. This is a multi-part series about this vehicle right here, a 1958 Buick Roadmaster. And we're going to follow it in this 2014 Buick Regal from Denver all the way to Detroit. This vehicle is going into a museum. The reason why? It's a very, very unique Buick, and, well, it's been painstakingly restored and loved by one man who left it to his wife after he passed away, and we are going to follow it on old roads going through the United States, not I-70, until we get to Flint, Michigan. It's going to be an interesting drive. Check it out on part one, coming up next.
I'm Ed's widow. Ed Hendricks owned the car, has owned the car for probably about 25 years. It was a major junk heap when he bought it. The mice had been into the seats and the springs were showing, and he spent the last 5 years restoring the car, and it's back to its original condition. And now it's headed off to the Sloan Longway Museum.
And why did you decide to donate it to the museum?
Ed grew up in Dearborn, and he knew about the Sloan Longway, and he thought, this is a place that would take my car and appreciate it forever.
It's a rare bird, right? They only made this for like 1 year, didn't they?
Well, there were only 10,000 like this made, so it's one of 10,000.
Jeremy, can you tell me a little bit of the history of this car?
Yeah, well, it's of course 1958 Roadmaster 75, and 1958 was actually the last year for the Roadmaster until the mid-90s when they brought it back in kind of unremarkable fashion. You know, it was a little big and boxy, shared a platform with the Chevy Caprice police cars, and they made a wagon too with some wood paneling down the side, but yeah, the 58 was the last year for the Roadmaster, first Buicks without the famous mouse hole portholes on the sides. It unfortunately, I think it's kind of a victim of Buick trying to renew their image and appeal to kind of a younger audience, in that they dropped the portholes, they dropped the Roadmaster name after this year, and it's just kind of one of these iconic 1940s and 50s post-war cars that didn't really translate with the up-and-coming generation, so it kind of fell by the wayside.
What's interesting about this vehicle, first of all, the ride is absolutely supremely amazing. It's a magic carpet, but not the way it is artificially in modern cars. This is a car that has leaf spring suspension, it has a solid rear axle. There's nothing about it in terms of technology that's new. But the ride is better than just about any car I can think of, other than maybe an S-Class Mercedes-Benz. It's that smooth. Now, with that said, there are whistling noises coming in from the outside because some of the seals are old, and it's a little bit of a rumble on the inside. There's no air conditioning, and it's spring, and we're going through Midwest, so that's pretty awesome too. But there was an option for air conditioning with this car, wasn't there?
Yes. Yep, it was the only option not picked up. Everything else, was power windows, power seats, power brakes, power steering. And the steering, it's incredible. You're talking about the ride, and the steering is just as, you can practically turn the wheel on a 2-ton car with your finger. It's pretty incredible.
Why
why are we doing this? Why are we taking these routes, these back roads and these old highways?
Yeah, one of the things that Ed really wanted to do, according to Barbara, once he finished the car, was the two of them were going to travel Route 66 in it. So when we found that story out, we found out this car was a runner, and it was in great shape and running condition. We kind of put the idea together as, kind of a honoring of Ed's last wishes, driving the car back from Denver to Flint, and then the idea evolved into making it a period 1958 road trip. So we're in a 1958 car, we might as well eat at 1958 era restaurants and take 1958 era roads. So it just kind of snowballed from there, and it's gone pretty well. We've seen a lot of the country, and some parts you generally don't get to see just jumping on the highway and setting the cruise control.
And Buick has been supportive of this trip. They supplied us with a chase vehicle and actually brought in the fast lane car to cover this event. What else have they done?
Yeah, they've been extremely, extremely supportive of the trip. Yeah, furnishing the car actually got, there's a logistical problem of you're driving a car back from, halfway across the country. You need a car or a plane to get out there in. So Buick was, kind enough to give us the 1914. It shows you my mindset.
That's okay.
The 2014 Regal GS to drive out. And then we're, of course, driving the vintage car back, so it gave us kind of a nice, bookends of the vintage and the modern, and to be able to compare the two, and it's just been tremendous.
Oh boy, wow. Well, we have nearly finished day one. We're going to be hanging out in Nebraska. And then after that, we're going to go day two through Illinois, mostly taking Highway 30. It's one of the older routes, and that's kind of the point. It's one of the older routes that was around when this 1958 Buick was driving around. Now think about that for a minute. We're not talking about big highways. We're talking, in many cases, 2 lanes, one in each direction. Small cafes, little hotels, well, motels really. And they were all dotted along the road, and that created commerce in these tiny little towns. And what we're discovering on this little trip is a lot of those cafes, small gas stations, motels, well, they're closed. They're done. They're gone. In some cases, it's actually really depressing to see that they were open maybe as late as 10 years ago.